Akuma's new character is absolutely great in Monster Hunter Wilds, and well, it's more of a weapon more than a character, because of how many moves it actually has. But how does the weapon work, and what is the best build that you should go for? We're gonna go through this in this video and show you the best build. This weapon absolutely just smashes every one of the monsters. So, let's go through it. As you probably know already, the weapon, the new emotes that you get with Akuma that lets you do damage with your punches is something that does a lot of stun damage. It doesn't do a lot of damage particularly. There's multiple weapons that will do more damage than this one actually, but it will do a lot of stun. You can see that I just stunned the training dummy just by mistake. And that is because Master of the Fist. When you have the entire set of Akuma right here, you'll get this. Increases power of special attacks as special actions. Drive impacts can trigger offset attacks. Further increases power of offset attacks. But whenever you actually do damage to the boss, you actually do the offset attack, the drive impact that we're gonna do right now. Oh, sometimes it's hard to do. Just when you're getting about to get hit, you're gonna get the offset attack, and special action power up effect has activated, giving you 5% more damage and more stun with all of your attacks, which makes the monster super vulnerable to you. Because at the same time, what are you gonna be doing? You're gonna be creating wounds that you're gonna be able to use as well in order to, boom, stagger the boss once more and being able to for you to be ready to do another stun attack. This is gonna be the entire idea of this build, because you're gonna just go in, stun the boss, get wounds, trigger those wounds, do damage, stun the boss again, and so on to not let him do anything. And in this build, we have taken advantage of many skills to make this possible. The first thing we've gotten ourselves with is Flare. Flare will make us be able to create more wounds, making us be able to stagger the boss more and more. We also are using this particular weapon, the Fire Trail Magnese from Chemetris, that gives you a level 3 focus, and this will make your drive impact be filled faster. Usually it takes around like 30 seconds, 33 seconds I think it is, but with focus it actually takes 27 seconds to recover, which is super good because then you're gonna be able to do way more of this offset attacks, giving you an insane advantage. I also got myself a KO jewel here on my weapon that makes every one of my stuns have a 40% increase power, not damage, but instead stun power, so it's more likely to stun the boss. Now you can actually go here for attack jewel 3 instead, and will give you the most amount of damage, but personally I think it's way more fun to just stun the boss over and over again. Then attack jewel 2 and attack jewel 1, and you're gonna see that we indeed picked a particular weapon here, a dual blade. Now there's a few reasons because of this. This is actually the most amount of damage you can actually get right now with Akuma. Well, now that we know of, there might actually be something else eventually. And you're gonna be like, oh wait, why wouldn't you go for a greatsword? I mean, this one's have like 1000 damage or whatever, right? Well, yeah, but not really. Akuma doesn't really scale from this inflated damage. It actually scales off of the raw damage of the weapons without coefficient. And you're gonna be able to do this in the options. You're gonna display without coefficient, and you're gonna see that whenever we go check here, the damage of the greatsword here is gonna be very similar. It actually does less. My dual blade sword does 240, and this greatsword does 220. But this dual blade, as we talked about before, has focus, which we want, and it also has affinity 5%, which was not the case for greatsword. So right now, unless something changes, this seems to be the weapon that you want to go for. There's also some like hunting horns that you can go for as well. My best guess is that the Sansi Gantsil is going to be the best one, and you can, because it has Slugger, and you know, that's what I wanted. There's the Ajakram version also has the same thing with other songs if you want the other ones. But you can create songs and then, you know, go play with Akuma while having the songs, which is honestly pretty good. Especially when you can get yourself self-improvement, for example. But there's a very particular reason why I would rather actually use dual blades. And that's because whenever you actually create a wound and do the focus strike on dual blades, you're gonna pop all of them at the same time, giving you a full buff of Power Breaker that is just inherent of the Akuma set. This is the exact type of gameplay that I love seeing, especially on dual blades, and it just works perfectly for Akuma. And it's also kind of funny to watch Akuma pull out their dual blades and just absolutely jump over and destroy the boss that you're at, the monster, not boss, what am I playing, Dark Souls? The monster that you are going for. I mean, look at this. God damn. It even lagged because of how good badass it was. But the damage you're gonna get by popping all of those wounds at the same time is gonna make Power Breaker just absolutely blast the enemy. For other decorations, we mainly want Mighty Jewel in order to get ourselves more affinity. We want Tenderizer as well to get ourselves the max amount of affinity we can when attacking weak points. You can go for Agitator if the boss, the monster you're actually fighting against, doesn't have a lot of weak points. Instead of Explorer Charm, you just go for Challenger Charm. And if you're not really sold on the flare, you can change the flare for one more Tenderizer. Going for 3 counters is very important as well, because that way you can actually get yourself onto strike buff whenever you're indeed doing your offset. And for level 1 decoration, you can really go for whatever you want. You can go for defense boost, so you are just very, very, very tanky, which honestly, I'm not that much of a non-fan. I'm actually kind of a fan of the idea of going full defense, because you also have heroics just inherently in this, so you can go very low on health and just get the advantage of these heroics and do a bit more damage. Or you can go for physique, so that way you can get less punish whenever you dodge, as whenever you dodge you will lose a little bit of stamina, making it more possible to actually lose your maximum mind buff. But whenever you're actually just with full physique, if you don't do it too much, your maximum might will not come off. Sometimes it will, but sometimes whenever if you're not spamming dodge, it actually won't happen, which is super, super nice. Now, in terms of what combos you should be going for, the Hadouken, I don't really recommend it. It's very, very slow. It doesn't do that much damage. The only reason why you should be doing it is if you're going range and you just don't want to deal with the boss and you just want to pickle him down with his Hadoukens. They do a lot of damage, honestly, so you can definitely do that. Personally, I'm a very fan of the Adamant Flame. This is probably the best one to actually go for, the punches, because it does more or less the same amount of damage than the spinning kicks, but it's faster, so you can actually move out of the animation a bit easier and not get hit. If the boss is indeed in the floor, though, it's heavily recommended to just go for the kicks instead. It takes longer, but it does overall more damage. And if you want to just absolutely blast, you can do a combo of all of these abilities to do the most amount of damage. It's a bit longer, but it is definitely the best way to actually go. But always remember to try and do as many offsets as you can. As soon as you actually see your drive impact be ready, use it. But remember to use it on an attack from the boss, so that way you get your counter strike buff at the same time. You can do it and a wound at the same time, but try your best to not do that and instead use your blades to do as much damage by popping all of them at the same time and get the benefits from the Power Breaker. But that's about it, guys. That's all I have for you, and I hope this build helps you out. Try your best with Akuma and have the most amount of success. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you guys around. Love you all. Bye-bye. That was sick!